Good morning. It is a beautiful day on the farm and we are going to get some work done today. Oh, that's hot. As you can see, got a little bit of a brush pile burning here behind us. And I have got the gorilla cart filled up with chicken feed. The weather on the farm today is absolutely gorgeous. The chickens are loving it. The new chickens are really finding their place at their new home. They're starting to get a lot more comfortable and start acting much more like chickens, which is encouraging. That's good. It tends to be a little bit of a chore to try and get chickens to kind of integrate into a one big flock. Whenever you have a new flock that you're bringing into an existing flock, it can just be a little bit tricky. But you know, we did a good job. We put them in the coop overnight, and it's been about a week now, and they're seeming to get along pretty well. They're still, you know, scuffling a little bit and kind of figuring out what the new pecking order is going to be, but you know, that's just part of life as a chicken. Before you do your large scale burn is you need to do a small scale test burn just to get an idea of what the fire behavior is going to look like. It gives you an idea of how the different fuels, so the fuels that are available, so the grasses and the woods, any biological material that's going to burn, it gives you a really good idea of how those things are going to burn and how they're going to behave. And how you kind of do this is you figure your temperature, your sun exposure. So today we've got full sun, there's hardly a cloud in the sky. You figure your wind speeds, and then you figure your relative humidity. So where I'm at in southern Indiana, in the wildland world, the country is typically divided between east and west, and the Mississippi River in the United States is that dividing line. So I am east of the Mississippi. We tend to have much more deciduous trees, whereas out west they tend to have more conifer trees. And whenever I say deciduous and conifer, you know, you think you know, a deciduous tree is going to be like a maple or an oak or a hickory, whereas a conifer is going to be more of like your cypress, your cedars, your pines, things like that. And so because the pine trees and the conifer trees tend to drop their needles, there's a high oil content in those needles. So the fuel load tends to be a little bit different than like what you see behind me with all the dead leaves from these deciduous trees. So that's one of the things, is you just have to kind of figure out, you know, what is your fuel type? What is your fuel loading? How is that fuel going to burn? How is the wind and the temperature and the relative humidity going to affect those fuels? So today it is 50 degrees. Our relative humidity right now, it is approximately 11:30. Our relative humidity right now is in the low 40s. So that's pretty ideal for my region as far as getting things to burn. So I've done a couple test burns. You can see the smoke behind me. You know, these grasses have dried out since the seasons have changed. And so these dry grasses really take off hot and quick. And you know, that's something that I'm aware of, but nonetheless, I still want to be able to do my test burn and be able to see what type of fire behavior I'm going to be dealing with whenever I get to the point where I am ready to do a large-scale burn on the forest that we have here on the farm. So that's a little bit of background and some information on what I'm going to be doing. So this brush pile here behind me was kind of our first test burn today. I just threw a little bit of cardboard right on the edge and lit it on fire, and the whole brush pile went up quite well. So you can see this big gnarly patch here behind me. This is all, well, this is mostly forsythia with a bit of wild raspberry and blackberry kind of, you know, tangled in between. I did try to burn this area earlier, but you know, because this is a little bit more shaded, this area just did not want to burn very well. So that's, again, you know, kind of one of those things where you have to test different areas and see what your fuel load's going to look like, because, you know, as you can see, this is so thick. So a lot of the leaves that fell off of these trees here weren't able to actually get to the ground. And then because they're so shaded, the ones that did make it to the ground, you know, they're still holding quite a bit of moisture. So they're not wanting to burn all that well. Forsythia is a invasive species. This is the only patch that I have of it on the farm. Unfortunately, it migrated across the road from our neighbor's property. It's a very beautiful bush. It puts out really pretty yellow flowers in the spring and summertime, but it's just something, again, it's an invasive, and I just really don't want invasives on the property. It's not native to Indiana. It's not native to our local ecosystem. So that's just kind of one of those things that I've been slowly hacking away at. I have got a little bit of it removed, but I'm still, you know, kind of trying to fight that battle.